Volkswagen Racing Cup moves to Oulton Park, one of the most scenic circuits in the UK. It's a real contrast from Rockingham, where we were last time out. In race 1 in Corby, it was Darrell Wilson who got a very good start and led the pack down towards turn 1. He locked up though, going through the Dean hairpin and scrambled out wide. He got sideways and that scattered the pack left and right. Jack Walker-Tully had a good race. He moved up into 3rd place, but it was former double champion Phil House who won. At the start of race 2, there was another great getaway from Wilson. He charged around the outside of the path on the way down towards turn 1. Pole sitter Jamie Bond went off the road, and he wasn't the only one in stride as Tom Witts ended up in the gravel bed. But after his good start, Wilson was in the wars once again. He slid off the track and threw away a podium finish. Jack Walker-Tully moved through ahead of Phil House to take 2nd, but up the road, Toby Davis was unstoppable. He came through to a maiden win in the Volkswagen Racing Cup. 2 races done as we head to Oulton Park. Phil House leads the championship, but only just. He's 2 points ahead of Jack Walker-Tully, with Toby Davis 3rd from Simon Rudd and Keenan Dole. Bobby Thompson rounds out the top 6. The cars making their way to the grid, ready for race 2 of the weekend. First though, let's quickly catch up on what happened in the opener. Phil House had a good getaway from pole position, but Tom Witts, with him on the run down towards Old Hall, tried to make a move for leadership. Witts hit the front, but House fought back on the inside at Cascades. The two of them ran nose to tail along Lakeside Straight, with Witts in the Golf, House in the Sirocco, running absolutely side by side, with Simon Rudd joining the battle as well. Witts hit the front, and Rudd tried to prise open the door on the inside at Island Bend. Kieran Gordon, though, was off the road on the 3rd lap of the race as the 3-way battle for leadership continued. But when House lost out to a charging Rudd, the safety car came out to remove Kieran Gordon's car from its resting place. That meant the field all bunched up, and it put the pressure on Tom Witts going into the restart. As the safety car brought the field down towards Lodge Corner, everybody was on their toes, determined to try to gain places on the restart. The cars accelerated out of Dearly over the timing line, with Tom Witts trying to build the advantage once more and looking to be the 3rd different winner in 3 races. There was drama for Rockingham victor Toby Davis, though, as he retired down at Britain's. And more drama was to come as the field charged its way down through Hislop's. Darrell Wilson cut the corner a bit too fine and hit the tyre stack. Worse was to follow. He launched himself up, over and out of the race. Phil House went off the road at Lodge Corner. With cars littering the circuit, it was Tom Witts who came through to score victory by just over a second. His first win of the year came ahead of Simon Rudd, with Bobby Thompson 3rd, Keenan Dole 4th from Jack Walker-Tully, and Paul Ivans in 6th place. For Tom Witts, a maiden win in the Volkswagen Racing Cup. Time to celebrate here at Oulton Park.
All credit to the team. As you saw at Rockingham, the car wasn't at its best. They switched it for this meeting, turned around, and it just works.
Confirmation of the results of race 1 of 3 here at Oulton Park. Tom Witts the winner. Simon Rudd chasing him home 2nd ahead of Bobby Thompson, with Keenan Dole 4th. Jack Walker-Tully 5th from Paul Ivans, with Cameron Thompson and Damani Marcano running out the top 8. Jack Walker-Tully is the man who's on pole position for race 2. Darrell Wilson's patched up car with no windscreen, and the mechanically repaired Toby Davis entry both start from the pit lane. The drivers now look towards the lighting gantry. Lights go red, lights out, we're racing. Who makes the best start? The answer is Jack Walker-Tully from pole position, and a rather slow getaway by Keenan Dole because he drops back as up the inside now comes Tom Witts. The green Golf absolutely flying, and he's up the inside for 2nd place as they round Old Hall. Bobby Thompson there getting run out wide in the Polo as they head downhill now for the first time. Hard on the brakes through the left-hander. The cars will work their way along Lakeside Straight. Jack Walker-Tully then with a good first couple of corners leads the way. He's been a race winner in the championship before. He knows all the tricks in the book here. Witts runs 2nd. Bobby Thompson goes up the inside of Keenan Dole there as they go through Island Bend. They lean on each other. Thompson in the Power Max Racing Polo on the outside as they head up towards Shallow Hills Corner, so Keenan Dole goes ahead of him now. Simon Rudd runs 5th, and then there's another wave of cars, including Phil House, who went off the road into the tar barrier in the opening race. He is also looking to try to gain ground now. Up through Britain as they go, and the lead gap has come right down here. Jack Walker-Tully, the race leader, is not being allowed to get away by Tom Witts, who comes up alongside him and gets squeezed onto the grass. Elbows out. Jack Walker-Tully, in very stout defence of the race lead, hangs on to it, but Tom Witts stood his ground. Thankfully, he did take to the grass, otherwise there'd have been quite a big coming together between the two of them. He was certainly given a big old squeeze there as they came over the brow of the hill. Damani Marcano goes through further back, the teenager, rising up the order all the while here as through goes 24, Simon Rudd. You're on board with him now, heading up towards Druids, double apex right. Turns through the first element, then the second. Over that little rise, under the vehicle bridge, down towards Lodge Corner. Tom Witts then showing good pace here, up from 5th on the grid, right on the tail of the race leader as they work their way down through Lodge Corner once again. Up past the pits, over the timing line now. It's 5 effectively for the race lead. Just at the head of the queue is Jack Walker-Tully, but here comes Witts again to the outside line. Oulton Park is not the widest of circuits, it's not the easiest at which to overtake, but Tom Witts is trying everywhere. Down towards Cascades they come now. Jack Walker-Tully leading the way, but look at Keenan Dole. He's right on the tail of this man, Tom Witts, so they run not quite nose to tail down Lakeside Straight, but Witts is closing as they get to Island Bend. Walker-Tully brakes late, dives into the corner. And somebody's gone way wide there. Toby Davis, having started from the pit lane, he's gone rally crossing, shedding bits of golf as he goes. There's more damage underneath, you can see as well, as he bounces back onto the circuit. That might be the end of Toby Davis. We'll have to wait and see. How did he get there? Was that a brake problem or a driver error? Either way, 3 for the lead, 4 for the lead, almost 5 as they work their way into Britain's. And that is a rather battered Golf. Toby Davis heading back to the pit lane as the leaders come down to his lops. Up front then, it is Jack Walker-Tully who leads the way, but right on his tail once again is Tom Witts, driving really well here. Keenan Dole is 3rd as they head up through Knickerbrook. Thompson and Rudd 4th and 5th, the two of them running together. As they head up towards Druids, then the two race leaders together again, and Witts with better momentum here could barely be closer. He's almost in the back of Jack Walker-Tully. Sirocco, he looks up the inside at Druids. There was a gap, but he couldn't quite commit to it, and as they work their way now through the corner down towards Lodge, JWT is feeling the pressure. Everywhere he wants to be, so too does Tom Witts, who thinks about diving up the inside. He locks up, scrabbles into Lodge Corner, and has got to be careful here because Keenan Dole is right there behind him. They come over the timing line and Witts pulls to the outside to have a go down towards Old Hall Corner. Can't do it, slots back in, nose to tail they run through the right-hander at Old Hall here. And way wide all over the curve goes Witts. Is that going to give him an opportunity down towards Cascades? There's the gap on the inside, he pulls out, he has a look. And right there behind him is the team hard car from the front of the grid in the hands of Keenan Dole. Bobby Thompson in the Power Max Polo 4th, 5th is Simon Rudd. And Phil House, number 3, Sirocco, chipping his way up the order as off the road goes Damani Marcano. He's back on, delays himself, loses places as well. The 3 race leaders now work their way up towards Shalloils Corner once again, and Jack Walker-Tully doing a great job here. 2nd at Rockingham, he's been a winner there in the past, and leading here at Oulton Park. Tom Witts late on the brakes again, closing right up as they head in towards Britain's now. Over the brow, he's level. This is where he got squeezed earlier. He gets squeezed again, 2 wheels on the grass, and this time there's contact. Tom Witts sticks out his elbows, gives as good as he gets. He's on the outside line for the race lead as they come down to his lops, and he's done it. Through into the lead goes Witts, and there's contact as Dole gets into the back of Walker-Tully and fires him off the road. Jack Walker-Tully back on again, but with damage, and after his robust defence of the race lead, he ends up being spat off the circuit. So, Tom Witts now leads the way. Keenan Dole up to 2nd, Bobby Thompson is 3rd, 4th is Simon Rudd as they round Druids. And Tom Witts not only leads the way, but he's also been able to pull out a margin now as they come down towards the right-hander at Lodge Corner. They're all queuing up behind as well, look, because there is 17 there as well joining in. Paul Ivans and then number 3, Phil House. Out in the silver and green, Sirocco on board with Simon Rudd now. Has he got the inside line down towards Old Hall corner? It's a relatively short pit straight, so just as he thinks about committing, he's going to brake and turn into Old Hall corner. Bobby Thompson hanging on to third in the polo, but whilst they're squabbling, so the race leaders are trying to get away up front, look. Tom Witt dives down at Cascades, on board with Rudd. Has he got third place? He's hard at work, sawing away at the wheel, runs wide over the curb onto the grasscrete, and back on the inside line now comes Thompson. Together they run all the way down Lakeside Straight, and Bobby Thompson should go back through and take third place, and right on the limit, Simon Rudd slides out a little bit wide. They brake, they turn through Shell, and then accelerate up towards Britons. There is Jack Walker-Tully trying to make amends for his dramas, and this is what started it. He gave Witts a squeeze, there was contact between them, and eventually Jack Walker-Tully led him back onto the road, but Tom Witts was not to be denied. Brakes late, round the outside, going into Hislops, and wait for the bang. There it is, as Dole gets into the back of Walker-Tully, turns him sideways, and that spits the Sirocco off through the markers. So now Tom Witts has been able to try and build a gap over Keenan Dole, and he leads by about a second as the cars work their way through Britons. There's the recovering Damani Marcano after his grassy moment a few laps back. Over Hilltop come the race leaders, then down towards Hislops, then into Knickerbrook, and Tom Witt looks as though he's going to be on here for a second win of the year and to be the championship's first double victor of the season. Keenan Dole chasing after him in second spot, but this 20-minute race is going to have a checkered flag at the end of this lap. There is Jamie Bond accelerating his way up Clay Hill. He's on the back of Jack Walker-Tully's rather battle-scarred car, but Tom Witt, with certainly a very committed assault when he was trying to get the race lead, is going to be rewarded with a victory because he comes down towards Lodge Corner up front, and Jack Walker-Tully, in the end, you could perhaps argue the biter was bitten, because after his rather robust defence of the lead, he was the one that got into strife. Tom Witt versus Keenan Dole. The gap has come down between them, but it's going to be Tom Witt who comes through to score a second win of the weekend here at Oulton Park. Witt wins, second goes the way of Dole, third to Bobby Thompson, Simon Rudd falls fifth to Philhouse, sixth Paul Ivans, and Jack Walker-Tully, having led early on, comes home only in seventh place, and he'll be decidedly grumpy about that. Tom Witt, though, receives a great reception from the Oulton Park fans. He's done it again. It's a race win for Tom Witt. Keenan Dole behind him by just under a second. Bobby Thompson bags third from Simon Rudd. Philhouse fifth from Paul Ivans and Jack Walker-Tully. And Jamie Bond in eighth. There's still one more race to go here at Oulton Park, right after the break. Welcome back to Oulton Park, race 3 of the weekend in the Volkswagen Racing Cup. Tom Witt's on pole position, Philhouse with him at the front of the grid as the lights go out. We're racing as they blast off down towards Old Hall Corner. Who is going to make the best start then? Who's going to bag the advantage as they work their way through the right-hander? It's going to be Tom Witts as Darryl Wilson, having rolled in race 1, still running without any windscreen front or back. He gets up the inside of the battered Sirocco. Air conditioning on the move. This, he tries to take second place on the run down towards Cascades, and he's done it. The car looking very dogged, but it's effective. Darryl Wilson in second spot then as they head onto Lakeside Straight, but he goes a little bit wide, and Philhouse now gets up the inside of him. Wilson dropping back in a straight line. The wind rushing through the car, and he's losing place after place after place. He's down to fifth, and now he's got right on his tail Simon Rudd as Jamie Bond goes way off the road. Slows it down, gets it back under control and sets off again. But Bond is, I'm afraid, now a long way adrift of everybody else as the field works its way for the first time now up towards the Britain chicane. Over Hilltop they'll come, then down towards Hislops, and the race leader Tom Witt trying to make it 3 out of 3 this weekend. He is the dominant driver around Oulton Park. Philhouse, though, former champion, running second, and then Kieran Gordon third, having spun out of the opening race of the weekend. And those three ahead of Keenan Dole, and then Darryl Wilson fifth, are starting to make a break. Up Clay Hill they go then. The race leader Tom Witt still trying to build as big a gap as he can out of all of this, but for the moment it looks as though Philhouse, with his many more years of experience, is being able to stay with him. They turn their way now from the right at Druids and then drop down towards Lodge Corner as there Simon Rudd has a look up the inside of Darryl Wilson, but to no avail. Into Lodge Corner they come. Wicks leads the way. House second. And Kieran Gordon up from 6th on the grid, doing a really good job here. He's almost on the back of them as they head out of Deer Leaf. Over the timing line now. Past the pits they go. This is the right-hander of Old Hall Corner. They break, they turn into the right-hander now, and their House has a rather tentative look up the inside as their Simon Rudd is ahead of Darryl Wilson. Bobby Thompson is next, and then you've got the recovering Toby Davies, recovering from a rather lowly 13th slot on the grid as the three leaders are absolutely together going down through Cascades. And if they carry on like this, they might just delay themselves enough to enable the 4th place man, Keenan Dole, to get up with them. Dust kicked up in the background, and that's the reason why. It's Darryl Wilson yet again. Repeatedly at Rockingham there were mistakes, and he's already rolled the car once here, and now the battered Sirocco is off the circuit once more, and he's not the only one because Toby Davies is out of the race as well. Wilson pushes the car to a rather safer place with the help of the marshals. Let's try and see who did what to which and to whom. It's big contact between the two of them. Davies was up the inside of Wilson going into Cascades. There it is from another angle, and lots of damage done to the front of the Sirocco, so Darryl Wilson is out. Toby Davies with front damage out of the race as well. Phil House looks at the inside. Does he commit? Yes, he does, this time for the race lead. And Phil House goes through. Brakes late, up the inside at Lodge Corner. In fairness to Tom Witts, he gave him racing room, and so now Phil House it is who leads the way as they come over the line. Witts to the outside as they break for Old Hall. Wide in, tight out is the aim here. Is it going to work for him? He's on the tail of the Sirocco, almost up alongside, but no, there is just not a proper opportunity. Those flags warning of debris on the track, and possibly some liquid there as well. Slippery surface flag is what he meant. There's Kieran Gordon doing a very good job. Novice cross on the back of the car, meaning he's new to racing this year, and he's almost there behind the race leaders. At the end of Lakeside Straight, they turn their way through the left that takes them to Shell Oil's corner. There's Keenan Dole being chased hard by Simon Rudd. But now that Phil House has hit the front, can he pull away? And Rudd's got a problem all of a sudden. He slows coming out of Shell Oil's. And Simon Rudd's good performance in this race, and indeed good performances across all three, look like they're coming to an end. He's limping towards the escape road over at Britain's. And Simon Rudd looks like it's going to be a retirement for him. Cruel luck that, because he'd been running really well this weekend. So Simon Rudd on lap 5 in this 20-minute race is out, and the safety car being deployed now. Safety car on track, largely because we've got quite a lot of Volkswagens in awkward places. As soon as the safety car is back in, the cars are going to be unleashed then. We'll be good to go racing. Phil House it is who will lead them across the line. Safety car boards are still there. Where's the safety car? He's not found it yet. So there, being pushed out of harm's way, is the car of Simon Rudd. And he comes out of Shell Oils, and it just seems to grind to a halt, doesn't it? It just doesn't pick up. There's no pace coming out of the corner. So Simon Rudd coasts into retirement, and now the safety car with its lights out gives the indication it's going to peel into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and we will be good to go once more. Out of Lodge Corner they come, up over the timing line, the race back underway, and Phil House it is who leads the pack through them, being chased hard by Tom Witts. Does this throw Witts a lifeline? It gives him another opportunity maybe to attack for the race lead, and the gaps have all come right down. Jack Walker-Tully also now trying to get into the mix, having led race 2, but Jack Walker-Tully not really making progress in this final stanza of the weekend. Through Cascades they run onto Lakeside Straight now. Where is the challenge going to come from? Is it going to be Witts against House, or is Tom Witts going to come under attack for his second place? Damani Marcano, you saw in number 20, also running a little bit wide there, going through Island Bend. But Marcano, in fairness, has got himself onto the back of the traffic here. He has not given up. There might yet be another place to gain out of all of this. Damani Marcano there on the back of Bobby Thompson as the cars turn their way up over the brow of the hill. From Hilltop, it's down towards Hislops. A good effort this being put in by Phil House then, bouncing back from an off in the first race of the weekend where the car was in the tyre barrier. He leads the way in this final race of the weekend. Is it going to be a victory for him? It looks as though it might well be, because Witts now is just falling back a little bit. The heading uphill once again. Under the footbridge, then towards Druids, and Bobby Thompson still tries to attack Keenan Dole, and he's got the inside line as they head past the water tower up towards Druids. Is this going to give the Polo the chance? The Power Max racing car up alongside Dole, and he goes through. Keenan Dole slots in behind him on the run down towards Lodge Corner. He pulls out, partly to attack and partly to try to defend, because there's another three all stacked up behind him now. Through Lodge Corner they go. Now the run up out of Deerleaf. Over the timing line they will go, and down towards Old Hall Corner with the clock ticking away towards the end of 20 minutes of racing. They might just squeeze one more lap out of this. A lap around here is over 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's a long lap then. Bits hanging off the back of the blue car of Dole as they drop downhill once again. He's under attack from Damani Marcano, who gets into the back of him and sends him sideways. Round and off the road goes Keenan Dole. He ends up in the gravel at Cascades. And Damani Marcano was certainly a bit optimistic there in making that manoeuvre. There was never a proper gap. He stuck his nose up the inside, and that could have been a whole lot worse. Dole thankfully doesn't hit anything solid, but he's out of the race, and that is his race done. He's okay, gets back into the car so that the marshals can hopefully hoik that out of the way on the end of a tow rope. And there, coming through Denton's, is the start of it. Damani Marcano getting his nose up the inside and triggering Keenan Dole into a very spectacular off. All of that means that Phil House will come through the dramas to score a victory. It's going to be a second of the year for him as well, as Phil House heads up towards the timing line and scores a win at Oulton Park. Second over the line, Tom Witts, and third goes the way of Kieran Gordon. There's a gap back to Bobby Thompson, fourth. Then Cameron Thompson inherits fifth, and Damani Marcano sixth on the road. Phil House has done it, a second win of the year, the margin just over a second. Phil House confirmed as the victor, ahead of Tom Witts. Kieran Gordon third, Bobby Thompson fourth, Cameron Thompson fifth, ahead of Damani Marcano. A subdued Jack Walker-Talley seventh, and Jamie Bond in 8th place.
I don't think Kieran's got the experience of getting corks on a champagne.
Yeah, over the moon with that. After the disappointment of getting pole and then having the issue in the first race, I was hoping for that in the first race and then have a nice weekend. But yeah, it's gone back from last in the second race to get fifth, and then again now just to win that third race. Just brilliant.
It's always tough. Obviously, Phil's really quick round here. I sort of the weight was hurting me in that one, and he had the legs. But you know, I tried to play it sensible, take the points. But I'd have liked 3 wins. But you know, can't really moan at that.
Over the moon, absolutely over the moon. It feels amazing considering the start of the day and the tyre wall. To get back through the grid, to get on the podium, it feels very, very good.
So what does that do to the championship? It's tied at the top. Jack Walker-Talley and Bobby Thompson have yet to win a race, but they're on 178 points ahead of Phil House. Then it's Simon Rudd with Tom Witts and Keenan Dole tied on 5th. Next stop is Silverstone.